Almost Morados podcast on the State of Louisville Podcast Network. I am Zach, as always.
And I'm Benton. How you doing,
Benton,
Zach?
we don't have a guest this week.
No guest, but we might have one coming soon, aka next week.
I think we got a couple lined up.
Yeah, we do. But anyway, it's just us for today.
Ben, where can people find this fine? Well, I guess they're listening to it right now. So watch us on YouTube. We've been pushing the YouTube.
You tried. You tried to make a clean segue.
I realized it didn't help to mention where you could listen to us in the thing while you're listening to us. But
and if you're looking at our beautiful faces and you don't like what you see, there's always the audio option only. So
there we go. We offer a little something to everybody.
Yeah.
But you're only getting the sweet vacuum content on YouTube.
I don't have any more wet vac content today. I gave it back to my sister-in-law. It's returned to its rightful owner. All's right in the world. Yeah, my house is largely put together. I got all the furniture moved back in the room. Everything's painted, cleaned up. Well, I didn't clean up all the furniture, but I'm not going to do that because I did everything else.
Yeah. Well, then that has me very curious. Since we don't have any home appliances, what are you into this week?
Oh, don't worry. I always have a fixation of some sort. And we were kind of like talking around before we got on for other reasons. But recently I've been on a kick related to digital privacy, just kind of with like actually seeing what some of this AI stuff can do and what it's going to do. I'm kind of having second thoughts about my relationship with some of these big tech firms, predominantly Google. Like I've always been of the mindset well, they already have it anyway, which is kind of true. But I kind of want to like stop feeding the beast. And I know I'm not going to like win per se at the end of the day, right? Like I'm always going to have to pick like the necessary evil to do my day-to-day and whatnot. But one thing I'm going to intentionally be trying to do over the coming weeks is to really break up with Google, like try to stop using their services as much as possible. I think they're one of the biggest offenders. I heavily reliant on my Gmail account. And you know what? I'm all of a sudden no longer kind of cool with the idea of them just being able to kind of read everything there. I don't have anything to hide. I just kind of don't like the idea of all these like heavily targeted ads and all the other crap they use to manipulate people. So yeah, I'm looking into like different web services. Like I don't know if you've heard of like Proton, like in their services, like they have like an email service all like very private and secure. And different things like that. And yeah, for you and I, we had a great idea for the show that involved me logging into Instagram on my computer, but I can't do that because when you log in and you have two-factor authentication, it asks for a text message code, which is assigned to the right phone number. I just never get that code sent to me. And so I can't log in on the computer. And so I was venting to Zach about my frustrations with big tech.
And if you could log in, what you would see is about 75% ads and stuff you don't care about. And maybe if you're lucky, 10 to 15% posts you actually care about. Man, I popped into Instagram for the first time in a while recently, and it was bad. It has gotten so much worse. I stopped using it because they quit letting me be in control of my feed, and I don't mess with tech companies that don't let me be in control of my feed. But like I still have an account. Like I'll post some photographs there every once in a while, but gosh, man, it has really gone downhill there lately. It's just for the quality of stuff that you are able to see.
Yeah. I mean, I've never been impressed with Instagram, like of all the big social media platforms, and it's not gotten better. Like, I don't get the appeal, but I'm also not somebody who's taking like a million pictures.
So. It reminds me of a podcast I found this week that I'm going to shout out. It's Better Offline, hosted by Ed Zitron. He's a journalist. But it's about like the insuckification of the internet over the past few years. But he did like a 2 or 3 part series recently on like the Silicon Valley management class that has failed upward and is ruining all of the big tech companies. And there was I don't remember his name now, but the guy who is in charge of Instagram currently and has been for the last couple of years is terrible at his job, and they've made every decision has been like, we do whatever makes Instagram the most money without regard to how it affects the service. And then the big one he devoted a whole episode to, I do remember his name, is Prabhakar Radavan, who's the head of search at Google recently. Like I think he got named that a couple years ago, and just to show how much management sucks and how you can fail upwards in any industry. Benton, do you know what this guy's job was before he got hired at Google?
Alta Vista.
He was head of search for Yahoo.
That's a step up from Alta Vista.
Yeah. Uh, Now, Yahoo famously does not have a search engine anymore because it got run into the ground by this guy.
I mean, I didn't even really use Yahoo back in the day. I used like OG Google.
Yeah.
I was a long time user of those, but
Maybe after they part ways with this guy, they'll hire whoever was running Ask Jeeves.
oh, I was about to make an Ask Chiefs joke. Good on you. It reminds me of that Parks and Rec joke there. When what was his name? Ben Wyatt. They were like on a phone thing when he was like the whole like Ice Town thing came out. I don't know if you even watch Parks and Rec.
Love
But
Parks
somebody
and Rec.
called in and they're like, "Yeah, I looked you up on Alta Vista," and he's like, what are you doing?" And I think about that joke a lot.
Yeah.
So,
Ah,
but yeah, that's what I'm into: digital privacy and anti big tech. We'll
yeah.
see how
I'm always
successful I
anti
am with
big
the
tech, so I'm
breakup.
with you there. They can't they can't scrape my drafts because
See,
I've been doing them on typewriter and they're in a drawer in my house.
I'm not trying to go that far. Like, I'm just trying to find a happy medium, like kind of this like applicable balance of all right, you get some of my data to a point where I'm comfortable, but I still also get the stuff I need and want. Whatever. Zach, what are you into this week?
I got a music one this week. I have been into Open Mike Eagle this week. I mean, I've been to Open Mike Eagle for a long time, but I have been on a kick this week. He's a rapper I really like. He recently announced like a new group with an album coming out this summer called Previous Industries. They released like the first three songs off the album, and I've been listening to that a lot. I really like it. It's him and Video Dave, who I know because he has collaborated a lot on Open Mike Eagle's albums before, and Still Rift, who I'm not as familiar with. But like I really liked all the songs off that, and it listen to that had me go back and I have been listening to Triumph of Ghetto Engineering, which was Open Mike Eagle's album last year that like I gave like a listen when it came out, but didn't really dig in. So I've been listening to that a lot because it's a similar sound to this new group.
Mhm.
So I've been really enjoying that. He's like, uh, he is a guy that really speaks to me. I think we have similar interests. So
I'll be honest, I've never even heard of him, so I'll have to check him out.
yeah,
I didn't even know like what genre it was when I saw you wrote it down.
yeah,
Like, I
it's
guess I'll
rap.
find out.
I
Cool.
think he used to like, he hasn't used it in a long time. He used to call it art rap, but I think that was like a 10 years ago thing.
Kind of reminds me of, yeah, like another like long time thing was this whole like genre of rap that would they call it like nerdcore or something like that. You know, it's like MC Chris. Do you ever
Yeah,
hear of
it's
him?
not quite
Like, and like
like
it
he's
just like a
maybe
very
adjacent.
obscure like funny realm.
Uh, if you've ever heard of Bus Driver, yeah,
I'm
he
not
kind
very
of.
musically versed, I'll be honest.
But
Uh,
anyway, yeah, if you haven't heard him, I'll send you some recommendations. But that is I have been on a music kick this week.
Good for you. You know what we've not been on a kick on? Winning for Racing Louisville.
Ugh.
Got to talk about a loss, and that's it. We don't even have like a Louisville City match cover too. Just
I
one
I
match,
mean,
one
everybody
loss.
said they were fed up with the draws, so we finally got one that wasn't a draw.
Yeah, I know. I didn't get that philosophy. Like, I'll take the draw. I was like, yeah, it's frustrating, but losing's
And
more
oddly, they
frustrating.
kind of played like I would argue this one looked like a draw that wasn't the final score line.
I can see elements of it. I think Orlando's the better team,
I feel like
but
they yet another one they played to a draw is what I'll say. Even
yeah,
though the
I
score line.
think I to your point, I think the chances were there, and they didn't really kind of fully capitalize on those. Meanwhile, on the flip side, I'd argue that Orlando maybe had some more dangerous opportunities. And we were talking about this before the show. Sometimes we do this. We kind of like accidentally start the show early because we're excited.
That's the
And
good stuff. You guys, yeah, you guys wish you could hear the before show talk.
and the expected goal numbers just really threw me through a loop because I didn't look them up previously.
Yeah,
And
it
then I
was pretty
looked at
much
them and I'm
dead
like, no
even.
way. Yeah.
And so I think Racing Louisville posts directly from Opta, I think that's the expected goals there, which was like 0.81 to 0.87, very close. And then American Soccer Analysis, who has like a different model and does their own, it was like 1.09 to 1.08. So both of them were like different, but both of them had the teams like neck and neck.
Yeah.
So
And I'm not so concerned where they are. Like that's splitting hairs. Just be consistent in the source that you use. But like I was expecting Orlando to be notably higher, not 0.06 higher.
so I feel like
Maybe
watching the
notably
game
is an
live, I
exaggeration, but
thought Orlando was having the better chances. When I watched the like condensed replay where it was just the shots, it actually did seem kind of even just watching the shots.
yeah, I don't know. I thought it was a little more Orlando favored. I thought Katie Lynn had to put in a little bit more work. Again, that's just kind of the quick and dirty eye test. But let's talk about the match. What stood out to you kind of the most on this one? What did you want to dig into in this
Um,
encounter?
so I guess the big one for me, um, it seemed like I mean, it was a different. There were some injury issues, and so it was a completely new lineup for the team. I mean, you could see the depth because I think the players that they slotted in on an individual level played pretty well. So, like, you could see that it's a pretty deep team. It did look like chemistry wise, it wasn't necessarily an individual performance thing, but just like the lineup as a whole didn't seem to be able to mesh and be on the same page as
Yeah.
well as like the starting lineup we've seen usually has. So I think definitely it doesn't appear to be a talent thing as much as a like this just didn't look like a group that had had a lot of minutes together
Hmm.
thing. Because I think like just running through it individually, like I thought DeGrande in the midfield played really well. Uh she got the podcast bump. She got a start after going on
There
last
you go.
week. I thought in her first like full game, she looked good. I always thought she was really good at Houston, and I thought, and that was a really good pickup for the team. Uh, and I think she controls the ball. She controls the play well from the midfield, especially like when the team has the ball. Um, I think I think it was actually a pretty good game defensively because Orlando has a really, really strong attack this season, and
Hmm.
especially on the counter, they are very, very potent. So I know they had chances, they scored a goal, but I would say all in all, they held Orlando fairly well below what we have seen them do otherwise this season. I think probably holding them to one goal and holding them to the chances they did is actually a really good defensive performance.
Hmm.
And I think maybe if the attack had had it together a little bit, that would have been good enough to win or draw.
Yeah.
Uh, so I think definitely the issues were not defensive. I think they were more in the attack and generating chances.
Yeah. You
Uh,
you stole the words right out of my mouth. I'm very much kind of aligned with everything that you were saying there. Like, was defense perfect? Like, no, but my bigger concerns
the
were
defense was
were on
as
the
good as it
offensive end.
needed to be, I think.
Yeah, I mean that was not the highlight there for me. Like it was more so the issues with the offensive side. But
And then
one
again, like they did have a couple quality chances. I think Alexa Barr in the first half had there was a pretty good shot that got deflected and
mhm,
popped out to Barr, and
yep.
she skied it from pretty close. I think both the initial shot and her opportunity were like good chances that they sort of got unfortunate and yeah,
Yeah, there was there were
there.
a few other moments, and I'll touch on some of those in a moment. But one thing I did want to call out specifically that was one of the biggest things that jumped out to me in the match, and this isn't going to be like a groundbreaking revelation or anything, but more so I guess just appreciation for Carson Pickett. Man, I thought she looked really, really good in that game, and what she put into that game, like it didn't translate onto the score sheet, in terms of assist or kind of the pass before the assist type of thing. Um, there were a few different moments. Jeff Greer today, he shared a tweet that was kind of dictating and showing how dangerous Carson Pickett is in the attack. What is it here? So yeah, 42 progressive passes this season, totaling over 1,000 yards, most in the NWSL this season,
Yeah.
and it just kind of just showing her just kind of bombing down that side of the pitch, and you saw that in this match within the first it's like the first 3 minutes or so. Carson gets a ball and just kind of bombing down the end. That particular moment didn't really translate to anything particularly threatening, but she was involved in moments later on. So there was another moment. It was about 21 minutes into the match, and she served Canoe up on a platter. That was one of like the more frustrating opportunities there. How Canoe just kind of skied it. Like, yeah, it's one of those
I
shots
think that
that,
was no. There were two big opportunities that got skied.
yeah,
And then Flint had a header that she hit. She headed it perfect. It was just a good save.
yeah. The
Uh,
particular moment I'm thinking of, like, yeah, like it's a tricky shot, but at the same time, like her entire job is a striker is to kind of be better at those tricky shots than the average person. So, particularly in a match where you like went in at 1-0, like that one stings a little bit in hindsight.
yeah.
And then going a little bit farther into the match, just towards the end, Barr's breakaway, and I know Pickett was a definitely a part of that one. Kind of wish she did a little bit better with that
But
opportunity, right? Like trying to get
that
around the
was
keeper there.
kind of well played on defense and forced her to take a touch a little too far on the initial
Yeah, yeah, I think I
ball,
had I had a bad
and then was
bounce.
like 2 foot in front of the keeper when she finally got to it. There was not really anything you could do there. But that was a great pass from Pickett that, like, had the defender not
Yeah,
played it as well as they did, would have been a wide open
yeah,
shot.
and I mean, I still think Barr owns. I mean, yeah, credit to the defense on that, not taking away from that at all. I think she still,
Yeah.
owns a little bit of that.
I think
Again, like
Barr
when,
did about as good as she could because the defender, like, kind of got in there and made that first touch difficult, and that's
yeah,
what
I mean,
allowed the keeper to make a play on it.
I guess she's younger and still kind of developing, but I don't know. That one stuck out to me, particularly knowing that she had one or two earlier opportunities and knowing how close we were. Again, like, yeah, I thought that there should have been a little bit wider of a gap in terms of expected goals from Orlando and Racing. But like you were saying, like it could have easily been a draw this
Yeah,
match. And I guess that's
that
what makes it
game.
a little frustrating, a little annoying. But you're on the home, you're on the road, you're playing with a little bit of rotated lineup with some injury sort of stuff. So like yeah, I that softens the blow a little bit, but I'm still like it's just still an annoying loss to
Yeah.
have.
I think in the post game, Coach Bev mentioned that it was a big learning opportunity for the team. I think an important thing to know, it's the first time they've trailed all season, so it's a new game situation that I mean, it's a young team, and so they've not had to deal with playing from behind at all season. Um, so I think there's hopefully a lot of stuff they can learn from this. I think on the road against who the team that's currently first in the standings is the kind of game where, like, if that's a loss but a learning opportunity, that's not too bad. That's
Yeah,
like, it's not a loss to a team at the bottom of the table, or it's like
right.
I'd rather have the win than a learning opportunity. Like, yeah, so
Yeah, I was actually about the call out, like remembering that they are technically first place right now. So that does make it a little bit more palatable. And maybe I'm going overly critical. I kind of
and I
going,
think that makes the defensive performance look even better. I mean, like, they have had a very good offense this
yeah,
year, and they held them well below their averages.
yeah,
So
yeah,
if they
that's fair.
can get the attack clicking, like, that defense is good enough to win games.
Yeah. And I mean, over the course of this season, you're just going to have those games where where the team is just not kind of fully up to the level that you would expect or hope. And maybe you just kind of chalk it up to something like that. Again, like for this variety of factors we talked about. So, the more I talk it through, the more I listen to you talk, the more I'm thinking maybe like my initial reactions are maybe a touch harsh. But I just like I know that I know this team has so much like potential. And I want to see that
Yeah,
come out sooner than later, like I'm a lot like everybody else. We're just frustrated with what we know they can be, what we believe they can be.
yeah.
Haven't fully seen it yet.
If we kind of saw it, I mean, it's easy to forget because of recency bias, but they did win by
I mean,
4 goals the
I
game
meant like
before
kind of
this.
like an extended context, not
Yeah.
just like the like a one-off match.
Well,
Like I want to see
and
something
see
strung
it
together.
against a good team. I mean, like, not to harp on Utah, but like lots of teams have looked like that against Utah. They
I
uh
mean, let's
need
call a
to see
spade a spade.
Racing
They're
perform
bad.
against
They're
like a quality team.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's not fair to call Utah. They're not a good team, and that's largely because they are a brand new team. It's very
I mean,
difficult
that
entering the
said,
league.
I mean, they're not behind right now. They're in a playoff spot. They've not dug themselves a hole. So I think plenty of room to grow, but also it's not like they have to play catch up,
Yeah.
which is
So
good.
at the
They're
time
in
of
eighth right now,
recording,
I
yep,
believe.
eighth place, 8 points. We have Angel City ahead of us in seventh at 10 points, and right behind us is Gotham at 8 points. We lead with goal differential
Yeah.
+3, Gotham -1.
Yeah. So like it's not a case where like, oh, all these draws have dug them a hole. Like they're still in it.
Yep.
Like they if they improve, they will be able to lock up a playoff spot. So
Yeah.
I do think I have
Season's
a
still pretty young.
feeling that as far as points per game go, that playoff line is going to move up a lot. I think it's sitting kind of low right now. I think a lot of teams have had kind of a slow start
Yeah.
and are going to pick up. So I think they are going to have to like they're not going to be able to play like this and keep that spot. I think they're going to have to improve
Yeah.
to get that playoff
I
spot.
agree. Yeah, the season's still young. There's still a lot of stuff to shake out. But hey, the good thing is they get an opportunity at home to redeem themselves this Friday, which is might correlate nicely with the release of this podcast with this match itself against
Yep.
Washington.
Who's
I
currently
like
third in the
these. It's another
So
double weekend, right? We get Racing on Friday, Louisville City on Saturday. I
double
swore
weekend.
I swore Louisville City was away. I you know I was so disheveled and just like out
Well,
of
I mean,
sorts with all my.
I thought that the Open Cup game was last week and mentioned it on the
Oh
podcast.
no, I did
So
the same
yeah.
thing, and that was another thing I was going to bring up. It's like I definitely
I
messed that up
wish it
last
had
week.
been last week. I think that would have been better for the schedule because
Yeah,
they had the weekend off uh last weekend for Derby. It would have
yeah.
been nice to get that game in instead
But
of yeah.
I've been out of whack. I texted my group that I sit by about a match I'm going to miss a little bit later in the season because I'll be traveling, and they're like, pretty sure that's an away match, Benton. Like you don't have any tickets to give away. I'm like, yep, you are right. And then they text me the other day like, hey, using your extra ticket for this Saturday. I'm like, we're on the road. And I look at it, I'm like, oh no, it's a home match. Like so, I'm struggling. I'm getting better,
Ugh.
but struggling. But to the point, double weekend, starting off with Racing against Washington. How are you feeling?
Washington's having a good season so far. So they're in third right now. Um, I think we mentioned that we need to see the team do it against a good team. Like this is an opportunity on Friday. So we'll,
Mhm.
we'll see how they recover from their first bit of I mean, I think the draws were kind of adversity, but their first loss of the season, their first real bit of adversity. I'm gonna guess that probably they're gonna be playing on a short bench again. I don't I would imagine that the players that were out are probably at least a few of them are still gonna be out.
Probably.
Howell was on the bench for the last game, so she's maybe a maybe. But I'm gonna guess Ari and Demelo are they weren't since they weren't even on the bench that they're probably we're not gonna see them. So
Yeah, I agree with that.
I think another opportunity for some of these midfielders that haven't gotten a lot of minutes this season to step up and shine.
Mhm.
Uh, yeah, I think the opportunity is there to like really
Yeah, I mean
maybe
this is
get
the kind
stuff
of
figured out.
situation where like where like winners like rise up, right? Like you're coming off a loss, it was on the road, but you're coming home. It's not as much rest as you would like, but you're going back home. Can you rebound? Can you get something from that? And so I think if they are able to get a win, I think that will do wonders for their confidence.
Well,
Obviously the standing as well, but
and I guess I'll
you got
throw
to
it
get
to
done.
us fans as well. I think an opportunity to see, can the racing fan base bring some of that energy that the Thunder game had to
Yes,
the next regular season game? Because I think that makes a big difference on how well the
it
team's
does.
able going to be able to perform. Like,
I think they
can
feed
we
off that
carry
for sure.
over some of that packed house energy to this next one? I think is big.
Yeah. Yeah, I would love it if we had a nice strong crowd presence because especially for a team that might at times have like various like levels of confidence because of their form and their and the results. I think it could mean a lot. So, hopefully at bare minimum we get some good weather for it, right? For those of
Yeah.
us who will be in attendance. Um, but I guess a nice segue. We don't have a ton to talk about on the Louisville City front, but they other than by the time you're listening to this, we'll know the outcome of the open match. Obviously a W, right? Like it's just the Seattle
Yeah,
Sounders.
we will have moved on to the next round of the Open Cup.
Easy game. And then we're playing Orange County, who is actually a good team. And this is something I was thinking about. I'm in the
Also, third place.
yeah. I'm in the midst of doing some writing on them, kind of like a little bigger picture look back like I normally do. And one thing I was kind of wondering about so far is the strength of schedule that we've played. Like most of the teams that we've played in Crush, like don't appear to be some of the greatest that the USL have to offer. I mean, it's not like we played only like the absolute bottom tier teams, but like we haven't played really like
Not
aside
been a
from
super strong schedule so
it's
far.
not. I mean, yeah, we're gonna be honest, it's not. I mean, you can't discount the magnitude of these wins. I still think this is an outstanding team that we have on our hands. But part of me is also very curious what's going to happen when you start to play some of these good teams. Right now the only sample we have is Charleston.
And it's the only hiccup they've had, basically.
Yeah, and it's just for a half.
Yeah.
Like the second half went a lot better. Orange County is going to be really interesting one because they are a good team and they're kind of still, I'll still call them a relatively unknown entity since we've played them twice in our history. They're on good form. They're traveling away here. I mean, Lynn Family Stadium's kind of becoming a fortress again. So this will be a really interesting one to see kind of what happens in this one. I mean, I think we're the favorites. Like it's not going to be like a super huge margin, but
Yeah.
I think we are the better team. Can they go out there and improve that yet again? I don't have a lot of reason to think why not. I just still have that lingering thing in the back of my head, looking at the list of teams that we have played thus far. It's like that's not a super strong list. So,
Well,
but
and it's something I've been watching just as like the Shield race goes. I mean, the strongest start the team has ever had, and they're not in first place currently.
I mean, we
uh,
have we have better point per game average
we do.
than
Yeah, Charleston has like 3 games in hand.
yeah.
Uh,
So it's like I don't yeah. I'm not reading too much into that
but
one.
anyway,
Both strong
all of
paces
that
for
is
a
to
team.
say, like, if the if we are aiming on the Shield as a goal for the season, there is not going to be a lot of margin for error. I think
Oh
it's going to
yeah.
be a high point total to
No,
win
yeah,
that.
completely. Especially dropping the ball against Charleston just means makes those other games that much more important, right? Because you don't have any more you've reduced your wiggle room
I
in the
think it's
worst way
going to be a
possible.
high point total because you mentioned like
Yeah,
it seems to be a fairly lopsided league this season, just the way things shook out. I think there's like a couple really good teams and like a field of not as good teams, and I think the good teams are going to rack up a lot of points.
yeah.
You're gonna have to have a lot of points to win that.
To be fair to the other teams, I just think the bar of the league is rising at a really like fast pace. And some of these top teams are just like that extraordinarily better, and not
Yeah,
so
I
much
just
that the
mean
other teams are
because
that much worse.
we've had seasons before with a
Yeah.
lot of parity, especially in the East, where it was just very tight from
Yeah.
top to bottom, and that it looks like thus far that is not how the league is shaping up this season.
Right. No, yeah. Yeah. The point I was trying to make is I think some of the lowest teams in this season are are farther up the table in
Yeah,
previous years past. That like it's just it's cool to watch the growth of the league. Like everything
Yeah.
about it is growing in a
But I
very
think
positive
if anything,
direction.
that puts more pressure on the teams at the top
Oh
because
yeah. Yeah.
you are not going to have opportunities like there's a lot of parity in the league. You can have a bad game and recover,
Yep.
but I think like any missed points this season are going to be hard to get back.
Yep. Yep. Completely agree. So another opportunity to catch some Louisville soccer action. Again, these double weekends, a lot of fun. I really enjoy them. And again, I wasn't even tracking on it first because my memory is bad. Um, before we depart, we have a few more things
We got
to
some
talk
news
about.
this week.
Yeah, yeah. You wanna share with the folks?
Yeah, first big one, which is not a huge surprise watching how played, but Flint for Racing made the team of the month for the NWSL. I think well
Hey,
deserved. I would say, I mean, Pickett has also played really well, but probably for Racing the player of the month as well. I think she's been the most consistent performer
hmm
on the team. She has really um, hit the ground running in the midfield. Like she looks like she's been playing here for a couple years already. I think her ability to get back on defense has helped Howell to be a little more aggressive, like she likes to play and really attack
yeah,
passes and attack balls. And also she's been able to get forward and help with the attack. I think just an all around like box to box midfielder. So
yeah,
props to her on
yeah.
that.
She's like as advertised, like a great pickup by the team. So
Yeah.
happy that
Also
it's
tall,
panning
real
out.
tall. I mean,
Yeah,
I wanted to not mention that right off the bat because I'm sure it's annoying to just have that be mentioned as the first thing all the time. But she is like notably tall in person.
yeah. I think she's only billed at like I say only like I'm 5'8". It like only at like 6 foot,
She's listed at six
but
foot, and it feels like
it does feel a lot
I feel
taller.
like because usually with when players get listed, they add or they add a bit. It feels like they've taken away a bit. Like I am surprised she's only
Yeah,
6 foot.
it kind of reminds me is like, have you ever met anybody that's 5'11"? No, they say 6 foot. Like I don't have that
Yeah.
problem though.
Well, I mean, I'm 5'11" because I'm 5'10".
Fair, fair.
uh
Okay, that rounding up, I guess that makes sense.
yeah.
Yeah,
I'm like 5'10.1", so you get to round up to the next one. I think that's how it works.
that's how
Yeah.
rounding rules work.
Yeah. Other racing news, the Women's Cup is coming here again this summer. August 9th and August 13th are the two match days. They've announced uh three of the four clubs, so there's still one club to be determined. But we do know Juventus is
You
coming, which is a pretty big get. Uh they're a really good team.
Juve's
And
cool.
yeah. And then oh, I'm gonna pronounce it wrong. Is it Palmeiras or Palmares?
I always said Palmeiras, but I'm notoriously bad at pronouncing
Yeah.
things.
Which is noteworthy because that's Ari's former club. That's where she came here from. Uh,
I am a little salty that we are going to be playing Palmeiras and not Juve first. I wanted that guaranteed Juventus matchup,
I
but I guess that just means we got to win and get to them. Well, they got to win
haven't.
too.
We should be able to take care of business there. I think it would be very disappointing if we're not in the final.
Yeah,
uh,
I no, I agree. I don't know. I don't know how to
I don't know.
gauge some of these
Maybe
foreign
maybe
leagues.
maybe club to be determined. I think they already said that Juve was the winningest of the clubs that will be in it.
But
So
like the other
uh,
team's going to be an NWSL team. Like that
uh,
feels pretty unavoidable.
well, see, I'm not sure about that because they also announced so they're doing two legs of it this year, and so Kansas City will also be hosting a Women's Cup a little later on. I don't know if
Oh,
you saw that in
I
the
missed.
in the
No, I missed
announcement.
that.
Which makes me wonder if it's going to be three international teams in each of the like it'll be Louisville
Hmm.
hosting one and Kansas City hosting one, and then all of the other teams will be international.
Hmm.
Would be my guess, but we'll
Okay.
see.
Maybe it is something different. Then I saw the TBD. I'm like, just put TBD NWSL team. Like, don't tease
I
us.
I'll I'll have to double check the wording on the announcement, but I think they mentioned the TBD being an international team.
That's fair. I believe you. I had made an assumption without reading that element.
Give me like 3 seconds because the people got to know. We gotta we gotta be we gotta make sure that we're accurate in the information that we're given here. Uh
Meanwhile, as we wrap things up and Zach's pulling it up, I want to thank you guys again for tuning into another episode, a little bit shorter of one because we don't have a Louisville City match to cover. But when we come back next week, we'll
Yeah.
talk about the
So
matches, but we have a guest. So
they do specifically say that the fourth team is another international team.
okay.
So.
All right. I stand corrected then. So that'll be fun. We'll see. We'll see what they pull out there. Maybe somewhere like in Asia, right? They do a pretty good job of diversifying locations.
Yeah, my guess is that it will be Asia or possibly another or a Mexican team.
Yeah, we will see. So, Zach, any closing thoughts? I already did our thanks.
Nope, got a big weekend for both teams coming up, I think. Yeah.
Show up, get your tickets. We're starting to hit that real nice weather portion of the season. Like it's not too hot yet. Enjoy it. Too many of you all complain about the sun, so enjoy it. Be there. All right, that's all I got.
All right.
Cool. Well,
thank you for listening. Check us out on YouTube or on your favorite podcast platform. I haven't plugged the Ko-fi since we did it, but we have a Ko-fi now if you want to help me buy some film, support my addiction.
I'll share a link because if you just told me what Ko-fi was, I wouldn't know what that is.
Yeah, we got to remember to put the link in the description.
All right. We're going to let these people go. Catch you guys next week with a fun interview. So stay tuned. Take care. Vamos Morados.
Bye, y'all.